What's up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Your boy is back with another real world topic. And last week I posted a video on my Snapchat newsfeed and on my YouTube page also about police brutality and basically what I thought about that over the past few years. And normally I steer clear of social issues and political topics like that because one, everybody knows me as the nerd guy, the video game guy, the sports guy, the relationship guy. I'm all those different guys, and I don't want to lose my fan base or whatever. I don't want to lose any followers or subscribers or anything like that. And number two, when you talk about topics like these, I mean, it hits home for some people. It's a little bit, some people are sensitive and personal about it, and you could actually lose some friends on social media and in person when you talk about things like this. That's kind of also why I steer clear of it. But hopefully, everybody who's listening to this video has an open mind. Hopefully, they do. Because I've seen everybody, voice their opinions on social media about this, and their block lists have got bigger and bigger. I've seen it all week long. But like I said, I mean, well, if you are racially and politically and socially insensitive, then don't watch this video. I'm gonna warn you right now. But anyway, two topics I want to talk about. This is a 201 video. First thing I want to talk about is white privilege in America. Second thing I want to talk about is, can black people be racist too? I want you guys to hold your thoughts on it, to the end on that one. But anyway, white privilege. Is it real? Does it exist? Is it a thing? Or is it just something that minorities in America have come up with just so they can have an even playing field? Basically, for people who don't get it, for people who the concept of white privilege goes over your head. Basically, white privilege is this idea in America that a white person can get away with more than a person of color ever could get away with. Now, let me give you guys an example of that. Let's just say that I go to Walmart, to do a little store run or just get out of the house to pick up a couple of things. And then a young white person, around the same age as me, comes to do the same thing. He may or may not have bad intentions. We don't know. I guess that's why we call them suspects. But let's just say, we're both about to exit the store or whatever, and we exit the store at the same time, and the alarm goes off. The first thing the manager does when the alarm goes off is he goes over there to checks to make sure that it's not a glitch. But let's just say that neither one of us had taken anything, regardless of whether either one of us stole anything or not. Who do you think that they're going to search first? Exactly. Now, as far as white privilege and police brutality goes, now I mean, like I said, I mentioned this last week. Now, police brutality is nothing new. I mean, like, it's been going on for decades now. And the only reason why, I mean, I'm going to tell you guys the same thing that, you've pretty much been hearing all over social media. The only reason why police brutality is getting so much attention now is because of social media. It's because, like, everybody has a camera phone. Everybody has, some kind of, social media outlet at their disposal at all times, which is why it's getting more light. But the only thing is, it's like, everybody sees it going on, but nothing's getting done about it. That's why all these murders by police have been going on, just because they have a badge and a gun and probable cause. I mentioned this last week too. As long as you have a badge, a gun, and a probable cause, you can pretty much get away with murder. If you're a police officer, you can say, oh, well, I felt like that the person in question was a threat to me, so I shot them. I mean, it's like, yeah, but you can't really be that much of a threat if you and 5 of the cops are holding down one of the guy with his arms behind his back and you all have guns to his head. How much of a threat can he really be? Now, it's 3 sides. Now, I will go ahead and admit this. It is 3 sides to every story. And a lot of times, these cameras don't really start rolling until, something pops off. We don't know what leads up to that. But here's the thing. I mean, but like I said, before social media, it was your word against the word of a cop. And I guess in that sense, it makes it easier for a police officer to shoot and kill your ass right there on the scene. And do you want to know why? Because a dead guy can't testify in court, can he? I didn't think so. And I've also covered this topic before too. I've also covered this too about how a white person could do the same crime as a person of color and get less time. Well, there was a couple of instances where justice was served. Like I guess if you guys paid attention to the Daniel Holtzclaw situation, Officer Daniel Holtzclaw in Oklahoma City, who got over 200 plus years in jail for raping and molesting 13 black women. And he thought he can get away with it because, oh, they live in a poor black neighborhood, so nobody's going to believe me. Nobody's going to believe them over me. I'm an officer of the law, and they have previous criminal records. But the thing is, one of them didn't have a criminal record, and the other one was a 17-year-old minor. So that's why he didn't get away with it. But of course, everybody begs the question like, well, what if the cop was black and what if the victims were white? Everybody always throws that in there. But I will agree that if that was the case, it would be a hell of a different story. Now, take the Dylan Roof situation. Dylan Roof, he went into a black church, a mostly black church, and killed 9 black people. He went up and then, to make matters worse, he was rewarded with McDonald's. They took him out of there with a bulletproof vest. Now, the murders in the police officer murders in Dallas, Texas, over this past week. Micah X Johnson, they blew him up with a robotic bomb. Now, murder is wrong in all cases. I don't care what color you are. If you break the law, then yes, you deserve to be punished to the full extent of the law. You deserve to be punished. But it's not right how one person gets a slap on the wrist and the other one doesn't. And that's why police brutality is a big thing that it is. It's because, police officers, they get administrative leave. They don't get punished to the full extent of the law. And that's why people, people keep on yammering on about black on black crime. Yes, black on black crime is a big thing. And yes, the black on black crime, it is harmful to the black community. But the thing is, when a black person kills another black person, they get punished to the full extent of the law. If a black person kills a white person, then, or a person of any race, of course they get punished to the full extent of the law. But yeah, if a white person does kill a black person, then here's pretty much how the privilege rule works in America. And if you watch TV shows in black suspect, they're a criminal, they're a thug. If they're Hispanic, they're an illegal alien. If they're Muslim or Arabic, then they're a terrorist. But if they're white, they're sick, they're mentally ill, and they need help. And that's where the white privilege factor does come into it. See, and this is why it's really hard to trust an officer of the law. It's hard to trust somebody it's hard to trust somebody who is an authority figure, because you're thinking, well, you can become, if anybody, of course you join the force to do good things. Everybody joins the force to really do good things, but, when you have that kind of power, will you abuse it? And that makes you think, if anybody of any race, joins law enforcement, could they be corrupted too? Because heck, I do know black cops, and shoot, some black cops are just as shady as the white cops are, or cops of any other race, because they have that power and they abuse it. And I'm not saying that all white cops are bad or all cops in general are bad. I'm saying like some of them just let their power go to their heads, and they do abuse their power. And some people get in those positions just so they can abuse their power. And I don't know if this will help or not, but they say, people, black people, or just people in general, you need to be the change that you want to see, because you wouldn't have to worry. They say that black people wouldn't have to worry about that if they had more positions of power. Like, if more black people were becoming lawyers and judges and DAs and police officers, then we wouldn't really have to worry about that. But at the same time, you don't want a position of power just so you can protect your own people. You want a position of power just so that you can do good in your community, because that's what it's all about. But yeah, now on to this next subject. Can black people be racist too? Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because, well, the Black Lives Matter movement. I read a tweet from a white person that says, they say, if a white person doesn't support the Black Lives Matter movement and support the All Lives Matter movement, then that makes them a racist. Well, if you're a black person and you support Black Lives Matter, not All Lives Matter, then that makes you just as racist as them. What? First off, just because being pro-black does not mean being anti-white. People need to get that straight right there. And number two, just because you say Black Lives Matter does not mean All Lives Matter, because All Lives Matter is a part of Black Lives Matter, pretty much. And as far as I mentioned black on black crime, and and some people want to cry reverse racism when you bring up the whole Black Lives Matter thing. There is no such thing as reverse racism. Because, all right, look at it this way. I'm going to try to word this the best I can. Racism, matter of fact, I'm going to give you guys the Webster's definition, the Webster's dictionary definition of racism. Here it is. Racism, noun, A belief or doctrine that inherits differences among the various human racial groups to determine cultural or individual achievement, usually involving the idea that one's own race is superior and has the right to dominate others, or that a particular racial group is inferior to the other. So, yes, to say the Black Lives Matter movement is racist is ridiculous. Because in order for me to be a racist for supporting the Black Lives Matter movement, it would have to imply that I think that I am better than you, or I am superior to you, or you're inferior to me because of my skin color. What does supporting the Black Lives Matter movement have to do with being a racist? Absolutely nothing. And I feel like if you do have that mentality, then you are racist. And sure, the black community does have its own share of problems. I mean, with black on black crime, and also with colorism. People say, well, black people are racist towards black people more than any other race. I will admit it, that colorism, the whole light skin, dark skin thing, and separation by class, all that is a form of racism, but it's actually not direct racism. But people say, well, racism in any form is wrong, and you would be true about that. Like I said, that's why we have our own problems, and that's a problem that in the black community that we need to solve for ourselves. But as far as being racist towards another race, as in thinking I'm superior to you or you're inferior to me just because of my skin color, it's ridiculous. But this is why in America we will never be 100% equal, because there's too many people who are sensitive, and there's too many double standards in America. Me personally, I don't care what you identify yourself with. I mean, whether race, religion, creed, whatever. I don't care if you're young. I don't care if you're old. I don't care if you're black, white, Asian, Hispanic, Pacific Islander, Native American, mixed race, Christian, Muslim, Jew, atheist, straight, gay, bisexual, transgender. I don't care what you identify yourself as. If you treat me as an equal, I will treat you the same way. Basically, treat others the way you want to be treated. And that's in the Bible. That's, if of course that you're a religious person. But yeah, that's why, some people say that it's the media that's causing this, this tension, that, causing this racial divide. And some people say that there's going to be a race war or whatever. And the thing is, we can stop that right there. We can actually nip that in the bud. It doesn't have to be that way if we all find some kind of a common ground to where, this doesn't have to happen. But, all in all, we're gonna have to. As Americans, as as races, as Americans, as a country, and pretty much, if we're gonna live in this world, we're gonna have to find some kind of common ground, because society is getting weaker and weaker every day, and social media and stuff like this is not making it any better. And I've had my own. I was gonna leave this out, but I'm gonna go ahead and just put this in here anyway. I've also said some people don't understand what it's like to be black, but I've actually been discriminated against on both sides, and this isn't no racial shit either. This is just me speaking personally. Now, me personally, I grew up in a privileged household. I grew up with both parents. They make decent amount of money. They did what they could to provide for me and my younger siblings. So they did what they could for me. And the thing is, I grew up around people from the hood, and I grew up around certain white people too. But the thing is, all the black kids from the hood, they wouldn't mess with me. They'd be like, they call me, bougie. They call me white boy. Like, oh, well, you grew up with both parents, so you think you better than us. And I get picked on and bullied for that. They're like, well, why don't you go play over there with them white folks? And I have black friends and I have white friends, hopefully, which, both of them are actually watching this. And I moved to a district with mostly white people too, And the thing is, there's still discrimination on that end too, because it's a lot of the white kids wouldn't, they weren't sure about me. They would think, I was, because of where I came from first, because I didn't move to a white neighborhood until, I was in my until I was in my mid-teens. But yeah, a lot of them weren't sure about me, because they think, they thought, oh man, he came from this place, so he must be a troublemaker. So yeah, I've suffered discrimination and profiling on both sides. A lot of the hood black kids wouldn't mess with me because they didn't think that I could relate to the struggle. They didn't think I was a real black man. And on the white side, they didn't want to mess with me just because they thought that I was a troublemaker. They didn't want to mess with me because they were afraid of me. So I've suffered discrimination on both sides of the fence. But I think that's also why I can relate to both sides better is because I've taken, the good and the bad from both sides. And that's kind of why it's easy for me to interact with people. And that's, why I feel so comfortable telling you guys, about this now. But anyway, I've said all I need to say. I've pretty much spoken my piece on all these topics. Anyway, you guys leave me your feedback, and I'll get back to you guys on another video. I want to thank you guys once again for watching, and for allowing me to express my thoughts to you, for basically anybody with an open mind. But anyway, I'll be back with another video soon, guys. Thank you guys for listening.